Hey everyone, welcome back. This is Chris, and we are going to go ahead and get started with the next tutorial, the Tetris Clone. And what we're going to cover here is, just as I've said earlier, is we're going to create some limitations for our tetraminos, because some of them just don't need to rotate, and some of them only need to rotate in specific directions. So let's go ahead and jump into our script, our tetramino script, and scroll to the top, and we're going to create two variables. The first one is going to be a public bool and simply called allow rotation, okay? And the other one is going to be named limit rotation, okay? So allow rotation, let's see, let's go ahead and set that to true by default. And limit rotation, we're going to go ahead and set to false by default. Because most of the pieces are not going to have any limitations, and most of them are going to have rotations allowed, so that way we don't have to edit too many of them. So we're going to go ahead and save that, and before we write any more code, let's go ahead and set up our pieces correct. So we need to go ahead and check or uncheck these allow rotation or limit rotations. So let's jump back into Unity, and we're going to go to our prefabs, and so we've got here tetramino J. Tetramino J has should be allowed to rotate, and it shouldn't have any limitations on its rotation. The same thing with tetramino L. Tetramino long, we can go ahead and limit that rotation to 90 and -90. And the same thing with tetramino S, we're going to limit it. And tetramino square, we're just not going to allow rotation here at all. Tetramino T should have allowed rotations, and there shouldn't be any limitations on it. Tetramino Z, we're going to limit rotation as well. So, okay, so that takes care of that. Let's go ahead and save. And let's jump back into our tetramino script. Okay, so because we're going to we created these variables, and now we actually have to put them to use. And to do that, it's basically going to be inside of this, where is it? Here. Inside of this rotation condition. So the first thing we're going to want to check for is if rotations are allowed. Okay, so if allow rotation, okay. If the rotations are allowed, then and only then do we want anything to happen within this condition. So we put that at the very beginning. So the next thing we need to check for is if limit rotation. So if our piece has limited rotation, we want to do something specific, and if it doesn't, then we should probably do the normal stuff, right? This stuff here that we've been doing all along. Okay, so this allows full rotation. Okay, so if our rotation is limited and we only want to allow a 90 or -90, what we have to do is we have to find out what our current rotation is first. Okay, so let's start by getting the transform, the rotation, and we need to make sure that we're getting the Euler angles and the Z, because we're always rotating in the Z. And we want to check and see if that is greater than or equal to 90. Okay, and if it is, then we only want to allow the next rotation to go into the -90 angle, not another added 90, but back in the other direction. Okay. If it isn't, then we're going to transform rotate into a 90-degree angle. Okay. So that's how we're going to limit our rotation to 90 and -90. Okay. And so if there's no limitation on our rotation, then we're going to transform negative, or transform to add another negative 90. So we could do a full rotation, okay? So after all that, we're going to check and see if we're in a valid position. Okay. And if we're in a valid position, we haven't written that. Yeah, we need to add some code here, but we're not going to do that just yet. We're only concerned with the else part of the condition right now. We can't just say rotate negative 90 because we don't know where our previous rotation was here with limited rotation. So we can't just go back because we may have already gone back to attempt to do another rotation. So first we have to check what our current rotation is. Okay, so here the first line in the else statement should be if transform dot rotation Euler angles dot z is greater than or equal to 90. Oops. Then the transform dot rotate 0, 0, negative 90. Otherwise, we're going to transform dot rotate by 90 degrees. And before we can do that, we actually need to check and see if our rotation is limited. Then we want to do this part of the code. Otherwise, we need to do our normal transform dot rotate back to negative 90 because our original rotation without limitations would have been a positive 90. We have to make sure we return to a negative 90 if rotations are not limited. Okay, so let's go ahead and have a look and see what that looks like in the game. Let's launch Unity, click play. All right, so this has full rotations, no limitations here whatsoever. Okay, let's go ahead and delete the L. And let's add the S. Okay, let's put that on a unit. Okay, play. Now when we rotate, we're going to go from 90 back to negative 90, 90, negative 90, 90, negative 90. So it's basically 90 and 0 the entire time we rotate. And then, you know, our rotations are restricted like they should be. Everything is working like it should. And that basically covers it for this tutorial. Stay tuned, and I will see you guys soon for some more fun stuff with our Tetris Clone.